I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Regina Dugan. Regina is Vice President of Engineering at Google. She is the Director of ATAP, which is the Advanced Technologies and Projects Group, which aims to bring the breakthrough innovation DNA of DARPA to the private sector, and specifically in mobile. For those of you who are unfamiliar with DARPA, it is the organization responsible for innovations ranging from stealth to GPS to ARPANET, the precursor to the internet. And just prior to joining Google, Regina was the director of DARPA. She was named a CNN Top 10 Thinker, to the Verge 50, and Fast Company's most creative people in business. Please join me in welcoming Regina.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning also to the folks in London, and it's good afternoon to the folks in London, right? Good morning to the folks in New York and everybody on the live stream.
Regina, it's great to finally meet you, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So you might well imagine that as the director of DARPA, I do a lot of public speaking. I don't usually get nervous. The format of this conference is a little bit different. I find it definitely unnerving. And it questioned the very nature of how we define truth in these kinds of experiments. Traditionally, we would define truth as that which we can authenticate by virtue of the source. Authenticate the source, that which comes out as true. It may not be accurate, but that's how we define true. In this particular experiment, truth looked very different. As it turned out, if the reports came in rapid succession, very close time, and they were the same to within 3 significant digits in its latitude and longitude, they were false. As it turns out, if humans are involved, there's natural noise in the system, and that natural noise became reflective of truth. And the MIT students who won this challenge did what people thought completely impossible. They identified all 10 balloons in a remarkable 8 hours and 52 minutes. 8 hours and 52 minutes, and that's not the end of it. One particularly connected individual rolled out of his bed on that Saturday morning, sent a tweet to his entire network, and within 1 hour, he had the location of all of 7 balloons. 1 hour. And, just even in the midst of all of that, there were these simple illustrations of the wonder that it created. We have video journals of teenagers who got up in the wee hours of the morning, which I think a remarkable achievement in and of itself, in the wee hours of the morning to search in their entire communities for a single red balloon. We had people who would never have participated in a science experiment of this type participating because of the wonder that it created. And in fact, we need this renaissance of wonder. We need to renew in our hearts and in our souls this deathless dream, this eternal poetry, the perennial sense that life is miracle and magic. We need that.
And there are so many opportunities that can be realized by the advances in the tech here. So let's just take one really important problem, one driving application, in this case, authentication. Authentication is irritating. In fact, it's so irritating only about half the people do it, right? Despite the fact that there's a lot of information about you on your smartphone which makes you far more prone to identity theft than if you didn't otherwise have it there, right?
So you're talking about passwords and pins and
sure.
The drawing patterns and on Android?
Well, sure. Look, after 40 years of advances in computation, we're still authenticating basically the same way we did years ago. In fact, it's gotten worse, because now you don't do it once a day or twice a day. The average user does it 39 times a day, and it takes them 2.3 seconds every time they do it. Power users would do it up to 100 times a day. So what are we doing about that? Well, we're thinking of a whole variety of options for how you could do better at authentication. So you can start with nearer term things like tokens or fobs that might have NFC or Bluetooth embedded in them, but you can also think about a means of authentication that you could simply wear on your skin every day for a week at a time, say an electronic tattoo. Now, we're talking about wearables. Everybody's interested in I'm profoundly interested in wearables. And what I will tell you is that we've made a lot of advances in wearables, but there's still some fundamental problems that we haven't solved. Like one of them is the mechanical mismatch between humans and electronics, right? So electronics are boxy and rigid, humans are curvy and soft. That's a mechanical mismatch problem. Well, a researcher at the University of Illinois, his name is Dr. Rogers, what he discovered is that he could use standard CMOS techniques to make islands of high-performance silicon connected by accordion-like structures that would allow it to stretch up to 200% and still be performing. And what he did is he founded a company, and they started making electronic tattoos. So I'm wearing one here on my arm.
Do we have a camera to get a...
This is a developmental system made by MC10, and it has an antenna and some sensors embedded in it. And what we plan to do is work with them to advance a tattoo that could be used for authentication. Now, it may be true that 10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents. Right?
And that can have a design, right? Because
Sure.
they would certainly want some kind of cool design.
Options,
right?
options. And that's something that you wear, but you could also imagine including authentication in just your daily habits. So I take a vitamin every morning. What if I could take vitamin authentication?
What?
Vitamin authentication. Look, I have one right here. Well, here, I'll let you hold it. Would you like to hold it?
I'll hold it.
Okay. So this...
You guys see it?
This pill has a small chip inside of it with a switch. It also has what amounts to an inside-out potato battery. When you swallow it, the acids in your stomach serve as the electrolyte.
That's what I do.
And they power it up, and the switch goes on and off. And it creates an 18-bit ECG-like signal in your body, and essentially your entire body becomes your authentication token. Yes, this is true. Okay?
Okay, but...
Okay, so wait. So it's really true. So what this means is that becomes my first superpower. I really want this superpower. It means that my arms are like wires, my hands are like alligator clips. When I touch my phone, my computer, my door, my car, I'm authenticated in. First superpower. Like, I want that.
So
So sorry. I didn't want you to find out this way. Go.
Anyone who takes the mark is immediately thrown into the lake of fire. There's no grace, there's no mercy. It's just, you've got the mark, bam, you're in a lake of fire.
If you pledge allegiance to the Antichrist, you will be eternally damned according to the Bible.
In medical news tonight, a chip the size of a grain of rice could save your life.
I've just been chipped myself. It's not a painless process, but it doesn't last too long, not too difficult. Minor surgical procedure.
New microchip technology now makes it possible for the emergency room staff to find out about your medical history at the touch of a computer key.
At some point, we're all going to have RFIDs. It might be even in our fingers, where they require it with everything on it.
Instead of carrying credit cards or money, we will probably be implanted with chips.
And now RFID microchips like this are being injected into humans.
I'm sorry, sir, did you just say you would get one implanted in your arm?
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Our driver's license will be on the RFID chip. Our credit card number, all our information will be on this one chip.
The chip is encased in unbreakable glass and is about the size of a grain of rice. The procedure is done with anesthesia and is relatively pain-free.
It felt pretty scary, but at the same time it felt very modern, very 2015.
The government has just approved the use of a computer chip that would be implanted under your skin.
When complete, everyone will have a unique 12-digit identity number.
If hospitals purchase this detection equipment, the system will most likely start to include more and more people in those communities who will want the chips.
Wow.
Interesting.
Everybody can have